The "he sounds like he smokes 200 cigarettes a day" voice. People could also remember his acting in a variety of film and television shows. But what most of us don't realise is that Mr. English has been hard at work on an opera. It is called Paris.
Correct.
How long have you been at it?
I know what you mean. We've been recording it for 11 months. We started doing serious demonstration tapes about 3 years ago, and I first started writing about 10 years ago, really.
We? Who's we?
Myself and David Mackay.
Oh, the producing type.
The producing, writing type, expatriate type. Yeah.
So where did the germ come from? Where did the idea come from?
I think I was probably raised on Greek mythology. It was, bedtime stories pre-television in England, which is given a bit away. Yeah. My father and mother used to religiously read bedtime stories from us of the intellectual capacity, and I think they all wanted us to grow up to be philosophers or something. And they were nearly all from Faber's illustrated book of Greek myths, and I've still got a copy at home.
So your problem is this thing's called Paris. Your first problem is going to be people can expect something of Paris, France.
Exactly, the Eiffel Tower.
Was the choice something you had to toss up about?
The whole thing, actually, I mean, I'm going to write an opera, or I'm going to write a song called Oh Paris, was, I think, back in about 1979, when there was a song by Ultravox called Oh Vienna. And I used to get quite miffed with DJs, especially country DJs, that would play your new single and not listen to the words.
It's very easy not to, by the way. You know that.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Especially if you're fiddling with carts and playing ads. And I had a song called Camilla a while ago, which was, I thought, blatantly about a 19th century vampire. And these guys would ask me why I wrote a song about my wife. And it used to worry me. So I thought, what if I wrote a song called Oh Paris and made it about the guy, not about the place, and obviously made it that way and see how many people picked up on it. Sure enough, there was a guy in Gunnedah, listened to the whole thing and said, what made you write a song about France afterwards? And that was probably where the initial germ started.
Yeah, well, I listened to it on that tape, which you let me on the weekend. I've got to say that, and I'm as you know, I'm no one's boss to me. I'm no company man. It's technically and musically delightful. It is fabulous. Yeah. I mean, we're talking here about a big effort, aren't we? How long is it? 3.5?
Oh, the actual recording itself is about 2.25 hours. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, it's a big effort. It's a lot of people on it.
But musically, I mean, it's a bit like, if I can mention Mr. Orff's name, Carmina Burana at one stage.
Yes, I suppose I'll let you get away with that, as long as APRA aren't watching,
No, it's not that close, but it was similar too. But you see, we have a real problem here. The real problem is we haven't got a film clip. This is how we're a victim of the system.
Sure.
We don't have someone singing a song. No. We can hold up the best of CD here, which of course doesn't necessarily do much at all.
Well, it shows it's on a CD. Really.
Yeah, I mean, so, in fact, usually with an opera, it's performed first, isn't it? Then there's a recording. Is the cart before the horse here?
Yeah, well, in a manner of speaking, yes. I honestly believe it's the best way to test the water, really, in these days. It costs such a lot of money to do these things that I always based it on the theory on if you've got an opera and people don't like the music, you haven't really got much at all. So the best way to test the sort of water is to sort of release the double CD, say, look, there it is, there's the music from it. If you like it, if you buy it, there'll be a concert version and a performance later.
So that is coming, or you're still living?
Oh, I mean, I would like to think it's coming. It does depend rather heavily on the sales and the acceptance of it, I think, really.
I mean, there's no way, if you did this again, that you'd use the same people. I mean, numerically, you've got people like John Waters, who I didn't realise was a singer.
Oh, good singer.
Is he?
Yeah, very good singer.
Yeah. Terence Donovan. Yeah. Outsmarting his kid again. Harry Nilsson. I mean, why did you... Who made the decision as to who was to be in it?
David and I, basically. We sat around and sort of said, wouldn't it be nice to get a voice like...
Yeah.
And then, after a few more drinks, we said, hey, let's not get a voice like, let's get.
Who couldn't you get?
The only people we actually couldn't get were people that were actually otherwise, busy. I mean, Darryl Braithwaite was going to do it, but he was doing something else.
Barry Humphries? As Barry Humphries?
Virtually, yes. Yes, virtually.
That'd be a change for you, wouldn't
it?
Yeah. Demis Roussos.
Playing a token Greek, yes. We had to have one, didn't we?
So briefly, what is the story about? If you can be brief about 2.25 hours.
Sure. Paris is a sort of an encapsulated version of the Trojan Wars, the love affair between Paris of Troy and Helen, Queen of Sparta, who, through either manipulation by the gods or star-crossed lovers, fall in love and run off to Troy on the the Holocaust that follows. It's quite a well-known story. It's one of those stories that everyone knows a little bit about.
So how much have you fiddled with the story a bit?
Enough. And when you go through the actual sort of documented things as far as documentation goes to a myth, the fact that Paris was actually killed during the siege and Helen, who was supposed to have been abducted, promptly shacked up with his brother, that it doesn't really gel properly in terms of everyone's idea of the archetypal Helen. So we made her desperately in love with him and him dying at the end. I shouldn't have said that, really, should I? I've given that away. The fact we called Ulysses as opposed to Odysseus, according to the Greek myth, simply because it's easier to rhyme. We eliminated a lot of gods from the story, apart from Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Aphrodite, the goddess of love, so we got some sort of balance thing. And lots of little fiddly bits, which I figure that my friend Tim Rice managed to eliminate the Virgin Mary and the resurrection from Superstar. We're at least allowed to eliminate a couple of, pagan gods.
When are the CDs out?
3rd of September.
3rd of September. I find it a huge task. I mean, I've heard the whole thing. And it's technically marvellous. You seem to have everyone in the world in it. You have some marvellous effects. It's very good. I think you should feel very pleased.
Well, thank you, Clive. I just hope they accept it for what it is. That's all.
Yeah, I don't find that hard at all. I think, in fact, you'll get people who like classical music as well. I mean, it's not such a threat to them. All right, that's covered that, and it's almost finished, except now for the stage version. What else have you been doing? Or was that a silly question after all that?
Oh, a bit of this and a bit of that. I've got a television series for the 9 Network that we start filming in mid-September called Rhythm and Blues, where I played a long-haired, drug-crazed, axe-murdering hippie.
Same old...
As usual, that's it, yeah. And, basically been doing a tour, and I've done a couple of... I've actually been doing a lot of acting since I got away from the studio and this, just to sort of try and change hats for a bit.
Yeah, get a bit of balance to life.
That's right.
Yeah, I've got to ask you one question. When you get mail at your place...
Yes.
And you have a letter for J. English, who's it for?
Actually, at this stage, the letter for J. English is one of any one of 13 J. Englishes now. I have a sister called Janet, a sister called Jill, a brother called Jeremy. My sister Janet has 2 children called Jacob and Jasper. I have 4 children, Jonathan, Julian, Jessamine and Josephine. My brother was actually married to a very nice lady in Melbourne called Moira and had a very nice daughter called Rebecca. But, of course, the marriage didn't last, so he married someone called Jane, and they've subsequently had a child called Joel. So there's now 13 J. Englishes.
Best that people don't write to you, I suppose, right? So
well, yeah. You can put Ms. after it, I suppose, and eliminate half.
Jasmine, all these J's. Well, it's well done. I'm sorry that we can't show you it. I mean, this is the ridiculous thing about television. Listen, I mean, here we are discussing something. Perhaps we can play a bit over the... Would you feel object to the fact we played a bit of the CD over the cover or something? Is that better than nothing?
Absolutely.
Which track would you like off this? We can play a bit
what
of.
have we got?
Love Has Power?
Sure.
All right, we'll play a bit of that to go out. And thank you, John. Well done.
Thank you, Clive.
Well done,
Cheers.
old chap. A bit of Love Has Power. I'll be back after that.
Love has power. Never surrender. Love has power. Oh, love can lift you up, or it can drag you down. And don't let it drag